Can you please talk about the 7 years devastation of Manipur and Assam by the Burmese from 1819 to 1826? Many people don't talk about this. It's not even included even in our history books. Even people in the Northeast don't know properly about this tragedy. It is said to be the equivalent of the Holocaust, while the Burmese have always been portrayed as a peace loving society, and so on and so forth. Right. Okay. The 7 years devastation of Manipur, Chahi Taret Kuntakpa. That's what they call it, from 1819 to 1826. So this was a terrible, terrible time. 7 years of complete devastation of Manipur at the hands of the Burmese Empire or kingdom. Right. So what is this? What happened there? So to understand what happened, you have to go back. I always go back a couple of centuries in time. So let's go back just a little bit. It all begins, so to say, with the Manipuri king Pamaiba. So Pamaiba is considered to be the most successful conqueror in the past 1000 years in Manipur. Right? Uh, he was the son of Pitambar Charairongba. So Pamaiba ruled from about 1690 to about 1750. And he is the king who introduced Vaishnavism as the official state religion of Manipur at the behest of, what was his name? Some Bengali preacher. So what he did was he introduced Gaudiya Vaishnavism, being the Bengali form of Vaishnavism, as the official state religion of Manipur. And he indulged in multiple military conquests. He was a very successful conqueror, Pamaiba. His kingdom spanned from the Iravadi River in Burma in the east to Kachar and Tripura in the west, and it also included the so-called Chittagong hill tracts, which are currently in Bangladesh. Right. So he was one of the most successful military conquerors of Manipur in the past 1,000 or so years. He also introduced Vaishnavism as the official state, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, uh, as the official state religion in Manipur, which kind of in some sense transformed the Manipuri society from a society of warriors to a society of people who kind of looked at other things with yeah, that sort of thing, into a more peace loving society. There's nothing wrong with it being peace loving, but it kind of softened up Manipuri society, this specific form of Vaishnavism, Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Now, what happened is that when Pamaiba died, the succession went wrong. He had a good son, a capable son, whose name was Shyamasai. But this Shyamasai was assassinated by his own brother Ajit Sai, and there was this squabble for succession, and there was a lot of political instability. Eventually, the assassinated son's son, which means the grandson of Pamaiba, whose name was Chingthang Khomba, became the king of Manipur. He was a very good king. He ruled for about 50 years. He was known as Rajarshi Bhagyachandra. He introduced, Manipuri classical dance and a great deal of culture and all that. And then after the deaths of Bhagyachandra, you had a couple of kings who came on, who ruled, who were not that good as rulers and so on. And then the Manipuri king kind of became a vassal of the Burmese. And then there was a new Burmese king who came to power. He ordered the Manipuri king to attend the coronation. The Manipuri king refused, and in retaliation, the Burmese king sent an army, invaded Manipur, conquered Manipur, and then there was 7 years of devastation in which at least 5 lakh Manipuris were murdered, 500,000, and at least another 3 lakh Manipuri men, women, children were taken as slaves into Burma. And today their descendants would still live today. And lots of Manipuris had to escape from Manipur and go into Assam and even Bengal and all. And that gave rise to the Bishnupriya Manipuris and all that. So it was a terrible period, 7 years of complete devastation. The Burmese tried to eradicate the Manipuri people completely, because Burma and Manipur had been at war from time to time in a cyclic manner for centuries. And the Burmese wanted to completely eradicate Manipur as a threat forever. So they tried to essentially conduct genocide in Manipur. Imagine, Manipur is a small place. Do we even know where Manipur is? Let's take a look at the map. Excuse me. Let's take a look at the map and see where Manipur is. Where's the map? Here's the map. Uh, Here is the map. So let's go here. So if you can see, this is the city of Imphal, which is the capital of Manipur. And to the east, you have Burma. To the south, you have Yangon, Rangoon, and so on, Mandalay, a major city. And then you have the great Iravati River, which I believe is this. Here it is, the Iravati River. They call it the Irawadi. So that's the region we are talking about. So the Burmese invaded Manipur. They occupied Manipur for 7 years. They killed at least 500,000 Manipuris, took another 300,000 plus Manipuris as slaves, and devastated the place. What they would do is they would put Manipuri men, women, and children in an enclosed house or something, shut them inside, and then burn chilies and suffocate them by burning the chilies and kill them that way. So very very brutal kind of occupation, which lasted for 7 years. Eventually, what happened is that the king of Manipur, whoever was the king at the time, he brought in the British. Right, so the British got involved in this. Then there was the first Anglo-Burmese war, I think in 1824 or something, and eventually the British got involved because of this. So Manipur was freed from the Burmese. The Manipuri king had to become kind of a vassal of the British. The British were already ruling other parts of India at the time, especially Bengal. Bengal is the first colonized place in India, and the effects are still visible. so so that's how the British got involved. And eventually in 1891 there was the Anglo-Manipuri war, which the Manipuris lost, and Manipur was totally destroyed from there onwards. So the Manipuri royal lineage was destroyed, and a puppet king was put in place, and Manipur became a princely state. And today's so-called Manipuri kings are descendants of those puppets. That's how it is. Every single princely state in India was in some way or some shape or form a collaborator with the British. So that is what happened, and that is in brief the story of the 7 years devastation of Manipur, which was a disastrous period, and which changed Manipur forever. Chahi tarat khuntakpa. So that's what it was.